Well, that's it. It's the end of the Ashes Clashes. Welcome to episode 26 of the Kingsgrove Sports Centre Podcast. Good morning, afternoon, evening, night, whenever you're listening to this. Welcome, as I said, to episode 26 of the Kingsgrove Sports Centre Podcast. I'm Charlie Carter. Joining me today, Hamish Solomons. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you. Yourself?
A lot better than I could have been.
Right.
And on my right, Stuart Ailey. How are you, sir?
I'm well, Charlie. How are you?
Good. And as ever, over in the corner, pushing the buttons, America's finest, Nick Unitzis. How are you, sir?
Hey, guys. I'm doing okay this morning. How are you?
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, definitely good coming off another Alabama Crimson Tide win over South Carolina on the weekend. So,
hey, if you're getting that in, I've got to mention Charles Leclerc in the Formula One. Ferrari winning
it. Is that 2 from 2?
3-0.
3-0?
Yeah.
Oh, 3-0.
Yeah.
There you go.
A Ferrari win at Monza. Good.
It was a delight to see.
Fantastic. Even I wanted that result.
Yeah.
Straight over Hamish's head, but Ferrari winning in Italy. Anyway.
Is that even a sport?
It's a motorsport, mate. Anyway, that's not what we're here for. We're here to talk all about the Ashes.
Now there's a sport.
Now there is a sport, one of the oldest contests in, I don't know, I made that up.
History.
In history, yeah. It's finished 2-2, boys. Do you see that as a success or a failure for Australia?
Can it be
Hey,
both?
right.
Can it be both?
Australia.
Look. Success in the fact that we've retained the Ashes, and first time that we've done that on English soil for 18 years or something. And then a failure in the fact that we didn't win the series.
Yeah, I would suggest that the fact that it would appear that we made some terrible blunders there in the final test, even the toss, and electing to bowl first, sort of meant that not winning that last test and also the look of celebrating so hard, I think, after the fourth test, it almost felt like, oh, we've done our job now. Let's go on holiday. And I'm sure that wasn't purely the case, but for me, they could have done things a little bit differently. I think I've just sort of been left a little disappointed with a 2-2 outcome. However, in the big picture of things, what a series. Yeah. What a great series. Yeah. What a great advertisement for cricket.
Fantastic. Yeah.
For Test cricket.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's a great series. I guess the only thing I would say is that because there was nothing riding really on the last test, it ended as a little bit of a damp
I
squib.
don't think there was nothing riding for the English team.
No.
Well, no, their motivation, they said, was the Test Championship and getting the win and making sure that Australia didn't win the series and that we could level the series. It's the first drawn series since 1972. So they don't happen very often.
No.
Drawn series. Obviously, the Ashes urn goes to Australia, and for all the people that are criticising England for winning the World Cup, say, well, they tied. They didn't win the World Cup. They tied the World Cup. Well, Australia drew the Ashes.
Yeah.
But they keep the Ashes, and that's the main point.
That's the fine print.
Yeah,
it certainly is. It says Australia on this year's series.
We pack it in the luggage and take it home. So.
Certainly do, and it says England on the World Cup. So at the end of the day, that's what is going to go down in history. Now, with that in mind, do we think it's been a successful summer for English cricket?
Probably not, because given that they've dominated in England for so long,
against Australia, you mean?
Against Australia. Right, okay. They would have been looking to do so again, given that they knew that there were certain weaknesses within the Australian team, and that has certainly been proven. So I guess really at the end of the day, it just came down. Their greatest disappointment probably would be not being able to work Steve Smith out.
Yeah.
Because if they had managed that a little bit better, they would have absolutely.
They would have pantsed us. To be honest.
Yeah.
Well, that's. So what are your main feelings, if you take Smith out of the equation, what are your main feelings about where Australia's weaknesses are?
Yeah, look, it's almost like a bit of a different story. I think we all sort of get a feeling that there's obviously now been a lot of talk about dropping Warner and all that sort of stuff. I think a lot of people who know cricket will know that Warner will probably bounce back in Australia.
Yeah.
So, look, I think that's one of the I guess the things that we can be fairly confident about is coming back to Australia. Our batting lineup probably won't be as dire and bleak as what it was over there in England, but there are certainly a few question marks being thrown around in that batting lineup.
So for someone who didn't catch all of the Ashes, I watched as much as I could. But for someone who didn't catch all of it, how these comments about the batting lineup being sort of disparaging or whatever, not up to snuff. What can you give me the cliff notes on what?
Basically, David Warner has for the last few years cemented his place as an Australian opener. Up until the whole sandpaper thing, he was nailed on as Australia's opener. He's a very talented cricketer.
He was virtually the best batsman, one of the best batsmen in the world.
Yeah, having Smith and Warner in the same side just basically was almost, right, well, there's a win for Australia.
Right.
This series, so across the 5 test matches, he scored 95 runs in his 10 innings, which is the lowest ever return for an opener playing a 5-test series. So,
Lowest
in
ever.
a way, it's amazing. He got 60 in the third test.
He got 60 in the third test.
And then he
That
got
was it.
3 ducks in a row.
Everything was in almost single figures, basically. So.
Yeah,
I mean, the way I like to look at that is David Warner has quite often scored more runs than that in a session of Test cricket.
Yeah.
I've seen him score 100 down in Melbourne in the first session.
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I guess we were expecting more because of the one-day series he had just only a month prior.
Yeah, look, I mean, to be fair, his World Cup was okay, but it wasn't spectacular. Yeah, look, he scored some hundreds, but it wasn't really the David Warner of old. No, I don't think anybody expected him to be totally dominated by Stuart Broad.
I look at Warner and I thought that maybe he'd been sort of mentally... He's not quite there. I think this whole sandpaper thing... I don't want to... I'm not living in the past, but since...
Do you think the booze got to him?
No,
even though he
not
tried
necessarily.
to portray a
No,
picture
I
that
don't,
it wasn't.
I don't think they've got to him, but
No.
the reason I say that the mental side of it's come out is because he's not the same guy as before.
Yeah, he
like
doesn't
he's
look- he
quieter,
doesn't-
he's
yeah, he
more
doesn't look-
reserved.
He doesn't look the same. He hasn't got the same. He doesn't have. You're right. He doesn't have the same body language. So he doesn't have that same body language at the crease.
He's
As
not
much as
expressing
as
himself.
he's trying to sort of bluff his way through it.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And I mean, obviously, yeah. So I mean, Broad worked him out and bowled very well to him.
You're welcome.
And just
7
dominated,
times.
and just dominated him.
7
And
times out of 10.
And obviously, once someone starts getting you out a lot, it's very hard to face them and try and get over the top of them and get back. And he just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And you pile on all the other things that sort of go on. Yeah. So with that booing and then the pressure that comes with that, and then not scoring runs, etc., he just couldn't break out of it.
I thought he dealt with the booing quite well. I mean,
yeah.
there was at Edgbaston when he's in front of the crowd and he's like pulled his pockets out. I thought that was really good.
Yeah,
Like, he's
that
just
was great.
taking
Now look,
ownership.
was that just a front though?
Well,
Did he?
maybe
Yeah.
because if you look at how he usually is as a batsman,
Yeah.
I'm going to say before the ban, before that he'd be engaging with this sledging in the fielders and getting into that verbal battle as much as anything. This series, he was just sort of looking back, smiling,
Yeah.
not really being David Warner.
Yeah, you had that. I think. I mean, I don't know if someone had told him, "Yeah, look, David, if something goes bad, just smile. Be positive." Well, and he was doing that, and in the end, it was. I think it was just to mask his frustration that he was.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I prefer him being like that than the previous guy who's getting into...
I think I want something in the middle.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
He's had obviously a lot of time to reflect. And look, I don't know, to be truthful. Only David Warner would really know, and maybe some of his closer friends. But coming towards the back part of what's been an amazing career, maybe he's decided, okay, look, my image perhaps isn't what I really want it to be and what I want it to be remembered as. Maybe he's trying to clean a few things up, fix a few things up, and maybe it just doesn't really suit his cricket.
It's not his...
the
well,
way
it's
he
just
goes
not-
about
it's just
business.
It's not his personality,
he's been a bulldog.
Yeah.
And at the moment, he's being probably a slightly friendlier kind of
Bulldog.
Yeah.
And it's not. I don't think.
And
it's
maybe it
working,
just
no.
doesn't. Maybe it just doesn't
Yeah.
suit him. Maybe like it's a situation with Matthew Wade, and we were to say to Matthew Wade, mate, just tidy things up a bit.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work for him.
No. I mean, I think Wade has probably tidied things up a little bit. He's not quite as vocal as he was. I think the Aussies have sort of tightened up in that regard. But I mean,
He's pretty vocal still.
He's still pretty vocal. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think there's some more some cleverer things being said rather than just some dumb stuff. But the batting lineup's got more problems than just David Warner not being able to score a run. because we couldn't find an opening partner for him that could score any runs.
We struggled with the number 3 until Labuschagne got moved up there. Yeah.
Travis Head got dropped for the last Test match. He didn't score any runs, which is, I think Travis Head is important for Australian cricket. Because we might get onto it with a viewer question a bit later on, but I think he needs to almost be the next. They need to groom him as the next Test captain, in my opinion. After Payne sort of goes in a year or two,
you don't think they'd go back to Smith?
I don't think it's best for Stephen. No,
after 2 years,
it's just better. Steve just bat, mate. He doesn't need to be the captain. Why does he need to be the captain?
Well, even when he was captain, he was prolific.
Yeah, I know, but then we got in the situation that we got into. So just let him bat. Just let him bat and score runs.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think the other thing as well with your openers, you're finding an opening partner, is that England can kind of mask the talent a little bit in that it's the moving ball. You're early in your Test career. You've got to stick with these openers for a little bit longer. And I know that Bancroft has played before and he's played in England and he's done well before, at least at a county level, not necessarily international. But I don't feel that 3 tests was enough for him. I know that he got found out.
Oh, mate, looking at him, 1 was too much.
From an English point of view.
He was never going to make runs.
His technique was
He was never going to make runs because the guys at bowling at Test level are smarter than.
So why didn't they start with Harrison?
Well, I don't know. They should have.
Why didn't they pick Burns?
Because they thought Bancroft was
Burns.
Because in hindsight now, Burns would have been probably the man for the job
to start with.
Hanscom?
So no.
Technically, for England, I just don't think so.
Not good. If he can't score, if he can't score runs in Australia, he's not going to score runs in England, is he?
No. Interesting.
So,
no, I think looking back at it, and it's easy to do, obviously in hindsight, but I think Burns needed to be in that group, and he needed to be playing. Given that he scored a century in his last innings in Australia, but there were a few guys in that boat. And I maybe don't disagree with all their selections and stuff like that, but I think given what has transpired, Burns would have been the man for the job in England.
Yeah, you would have thought you would have stuck with him. Bancroft kind of did come out a bit of left field. I know he was over there and he scored some runs in county cricket. But I think he was only playing second 11 county cricket. Second division.
Second division.
Oh.
Second division, sorry. So, you
was he playing Somerset?
Was it Somerset? I can't remember where it was playing, but...
was Bancroft, do you think, a bit of a Langer...
Possibly.
Western Australia style selection?
There's a bit of that, obviously. Great at short leg. Was he picked as a specialist fielder? I don't know.
No, well, you need batters, so...
Yeah, when batters, because, without... Wade scored 200s, which was, obviously good for him.
Yep.
He probably would have liked to score a few more runs in a couple of Test matches, which might have got us some victories.
First and fifth Test.
Yeah.
Great. Great performance given what was going on in that last Test match, and someone needed to put their hands up. And if only one other batsman
got something,
it would have been a closer result.
We might have got closer.
Yep.
The rest of the batting lineup needed to stand up. You can't rely on Steve Smith getting the runs all the time. Yep. So,
in saying that, we probably just got to... it's been said enough, but what a series given that, it wasn't without its challenges. He got cleaned up big time in one Test match, enough to miss a game.
Yep.
And in 8 innings did what he did. But did you get the sense that there was no way he was scoring runs in this last game?
A little bit, yeah.
In this last innings.
Again, you get to... You just... All the runs that he scored, winning his Test matches, you just get to the end with not a lot of help. If there's more people helping him out, he probably would. He may not have been as
would have had to have been mentally exhausted.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And plus, also, if you ever hear him talk, he doesn't sleep a lot during Test matches. He's always excited to play, and so that takes its toll over a 5 Test series. Over how many months that is on the back of a World Cup as well.
Yeah. Just to clarify, Bancroft was playing for Durham. Just put that. But Steve
Durham.
Smith's series was just... people keep making that comparison to Bradman. It's probably not far off. I mean, there's not been that sort of domination in an Ashes. Mind you, how many runs did he end up with? 700 and
something. Yeah,
something.
It's the fifth most, I think, in an Ashes series.
Interesting.
But he averaged like 110 or something. So
774 runs at 64,
which is the best since
more than 64.
Best since Alistair Cook.
At 110.57.
Yeah.
Look, just amazing. Given, I think the things we've got to look at here is not just the runs and the average, but the percentage of runs he got compared to
the circumstances he scores the runs in.
Yep.
His personal circumstance coming back, etc., just being the only bloke that looks like he's going to get runs.
So I'm happy to say, given all those things, Bradman like.
Yeah.
It's hard to compare a player from that era to this era, I think. A lot has changed in the game of cricket, but that you can certainly say was Bradman-esque.
Yeah. Massive effort.
Now, I'd like to ask the question, a few things we could have obviously done differently going into this test match. The selection of Stark, I am absolutely baffled by. The non-selection of Stark.
Yeah.
After, we could have done with his batting. He scored 50 in that last test match, let alone the bowling.
I'm not sure about this fascination with Peter Siddle. I know. Yeah, look, I know he gets wickets in. He's been getting wickets in England in county cricket. Yep, okay, I get that. But I mean, when you've got a guy like Mitch Stark who can bowl at 150, surely you're putting him in the team, aren't you?
I couldn't understand why they didn't.
No,
having him for one test is ridiculous.
One test match and that's it. I mean, I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't know.
Siddle took 7 wickets at 42, so it didn't really pay off, did it?
No.
In 3 matches, 6 innings.
Yeah.
Whereas Stark, I think here it's got him down as having taken 4 wickets in one game.
Yeah.
I think 3 of those came in one innings. So, I felt like after the impetus of the 4th test, the win, what he added to the team, they had to go with him. It was an absurd decision not to. I put all my faith in the selections up until that time because they sort of proved my doubts wrong. Because up until the 4th test, they sort of claimed the Ashes.
Except the 3rd one.
I was happy to go with them and say, okay, they obviously know more than what I do, and that's why they're in that job and I'm not. But when it came to this, I said, no, this doesn't seem right. It doesn't feel right. We've blown it.
Doesn't make it. Yeah, I mean, it did make a lot of sense to me. You've got a bloke, who's only played 1 test match. He would have been fresh. Good to go. I mean, you've got Pat Cummins, who's been slogging his guts out for months in the World Cup, and then into the Test series. So he's going to be getting a bit tired.
Yeah.
You put you've put Mitch Marsh in, so he's your steady. I mean, he's your steady bowler.
Yeah.
Apparently, and then you have got Pete Siddle as well. I mean, I just don't get it.
Yeah. I can only imagine Bayliss coming into the English dressing room and going, "Boys, I've got some fantastic news."
Yeah, they haven't picked Stark again.
Yeah.
It's like,
and
mate,
that's
it'd be like England not picking Archer.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, how much more comfortable does the Aussie batting lineup feel?
Yeah.
Not having to face Archer.
100%, and I'm quite looking forward to seeing him over here for the next series.
So hopefully
absolutely,
he's
mouth-watering,
fit and in form, and is still playing. Yeah.
And do you reckon Broad's going to make it over for another series?
Has to.
Possibly. How old is
he? They need him.
He's mid-30s.
Yeah.
I know things are a lot tougher for some of the English bowlers in Australian conditions. I guess Anderson's a good example of that last series.
Yeah.
When the English team were probably relying on him to
he's my age,
to take more wickets. It's obviously tougher, so they've got to have a bit of a horses for courses policy, I guess, when it comes to their selections.
Yeah.
Although our horses for courses didn't really pay off in the last test.
Not really. Yeah, so what it'll be about 35.
Yeah.
Edge towards 36 probably when the next series starts. So look, it'll depend on how well he's bowling in the next 2 years.
Well, I'd hope to see him out here.
And how his body's holding up.
I think his quality. The only thing I'm really disappointed about with Stuart Broad is since he got hit in the face a couple of years ago, how bad his batting has gone.
Yeah.
Which you can't do anything about. He's now got to think about the short ball. That's why Australia test him out with it. Thing is, he can play the short ball.
Well, he hit 2 massive sixes off.
And he's done that before.
Collins.
When he got hit in the face, I can't remember who it was against, India or Sri Lanka, maybe.
I think it was India.
And he just hit 2 great big sixes in consecutive balls, and then the third one, he top-edged it through the gap in the old helmets. You should come to Kingsgrove Sports and get a new one. And since then he's just sort of had this complex, if you like, about the short ball.
Hard thing to get over. It was a bad. I mean, that was a bad injury. So
he played on as well. It was great watching him in the next game, running into bowl, looking like a panda.
Yeah.
But he's there to bowl at the end of the day.
Yeah, he's more
and he's done more than his job.
Yeah. He's. I was surprised that he had 11 ahead of Jack Leach.
Hey, hang on a minute.
I know. Look,
Jack Leach is a match winner.
Yeah.
And he got 92 against Ireland.
Yeah. Oh dear. Anyway,
what do you reckon about Jack Leach then as England's frontline spinner? He didn't come in until, was it second test or third test? Second test. Moeen Ali's obviously had a nightmare. He needs to go away from cricket for a little while, get his head straight, and then come back.
Yeah.
Jack Leach. Do you think he's the goods? Do you think he's going to be up there with a Graham Swan sort of level, or not really?
Are Moeen Ali's problems psychological purely with Australia?
Based on Nathan Lyon?
I don't know. That's probably.
It seems he play a little bit better against some of the other test playing nations. Maybe they don't target him as much or whatnot.
Maybe it's a pressure.
But
thing.
Leach, Leach certainly put his hand up. I thought he was pretty good.
Yeah.
Now, on the topic of Jack Leach, obviously after England won at Headingley, he's out there with his teammates in the middle, and team banter, and he's shadow batting and
running
and showing how his one not out was crucial to that England victory.
Yes.
What did you guys think of Steve Smith putting on Jack Leach style glasses after the Old Trafford game?
That was a beat up. Absolute media beat up.
I think it was a beat up, but also I thought Australia managed that pretty poorly. I think it was like inviting the media to a Bulldogs Mad Monday.
Yeah.
I think if they were going to celebrate winning the Ashes, even though there was still one test to go, and look, they were within their rights. You're within your rights, in my opinion, to go and celebrate after you've completed every 5-day test match.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think if you're going to do it, don't have the media around.
Well, yeah, A, don't have the media around. B, maybe don't do it after the 4th test match, like you said. I think that's why it looked a little bit classless for mine, is because...
Well, I don't know if necessarily it had anything to do with Jack Leach.
Well, maybe not.
That was just a story that someone came up with because it's because it makes a story.
Is it a story that they came up with, or did it happen? Because it looked to me like it happened.
I don't know. I mean, apparently though, it was more to do with Chris Rogers than Jack Leach.
Yeah.
So
I
wasn't there. I'm not asking. And to me, it doesn't really matter. I've sent a picture today of Smith and Leach together.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm sure they're good mates.
I think it was all.
So I don't think they have. I don't think they care about it. So if the two people involved don't care about it, I don't see why we should care.
No, we should. What I'm saying is, I'm not buying the Chris Rogers crap.
Well, to be honest, it's a non-story to me. It's a beat up. I don't care.
It is, but I think the point.
We don't need to talk about it anymore at all.
I think the point is that it should have been. I'm going to talk about it just purely because you said that. I think that the point is that wait until the job is done before you carry on like a goose.
Look, I'll agree with you there, Charlie, in respect to when I saw all those images all over social media, something didn't sit right with me. I don't care about the glasses and all that. That's, I sort of probably agree with Stuart a bit there. But it's the fact that they seem to be publicised celebrating so hard. And yet, look, they did something that was pretty special because it hasn't been done for so many years. But something just did not sit right with me. And I just had this feeling that we weren't going to win this last test match, because it's also, there's a reflection back towards the English team where that's only going to sort of fire them and motivate them up. I just thought, we just went a little bit crazy with that. If I was the coach, and maybe there's just nothing he could do about it, but I would have been like, boys, job's not done.
The comparison I would make is that in the 2010-11 series over here, after England went 2-1 up at Melbourne with 1 to play, they did the sprinkler dance in front of the Barmy Army, and then that was it.
That was tasteless.
Stop it. Then the focus was on Sydney, and they came out and they were fully focused on winning 3-1. That was their goal. And then they did it. And then after that was done, they celebrated hard. And don't get me wrong, Australia deserved to celebrate. They retained the Ashes, but celebrate a win.
Yeah, look, well, we were celebrating. Well, they did celebrate a win because they won the Test match. So
We'll celebrate a series win is what I mean.
Yeah. Maybe they shouldn't have, but I mean, I think
I think they
it's
deserve.
probably down to like Hamish said, it's probably down to the coaching staff and the captain to get the boys focused back on the job, and they probably did. They probably did relax a little bit.
Yeah,
I think that's just natural.
There would be no doubting that after the celebrations were done, that they're professionals. We wouldn't expect anything less, and there would have been, come on, boys, it's time to now focus on the next.
The party didn't go on for 3 days.
No,
I'm sure it only went on for that night, and then they moved on. So it's not like they turned up drunk to the 5th Test match.
Yeah.
Well, were they still hungover?
No, I wouldn't have thought so.
Is that why Tim Payne chose to bowl? Actually, I don't think that was necessarily a bad decision. You look at the pitch and the conditions on that first day.
No. It wasn't a green seamer.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't a green seamer, but I don't think it was a terrible decision.
Yeah, but he's batted in conditions that were worse, that were better for bowling.
Yeah.
In the series. So why do you choose that Test match to bowl?
It was a very attacking option to take.
Again, but then you leave out one of your most attacking bowlers.
So for mine, the point is that he shouldn't necessarily have been looking at what the conditions there were on day one, which is when it was going to be the best time to bowl in that match. That's probably what he was thinking was. You want Nathan Lyon to be bowling last on that pitch.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's, that was the mistake. And
it didn't happen because he didn't make, 600 in the first dig and only needed to bat once.
Yeah. Well, why don't you let us know what you think? You can contact us as ever. Use that hashtag KSC podcast. We're on Facebook at Kingsgrove Sports Centre. Got to do this in the right order now, Nick, haven't I?
Mm-hmm.
We're at Instagram at Kingsgrove Sports, and we're at Twitter. We're on Twitter at Kingsgrove Sport. No plural there. I think it might be a good time to have some listener questions. What do you reckon?
Let's get stuck in.
Sounds great.
Let's get stuck in. All right. Well, the first one is from Ray B.
Oh, it sounds like the great Ray Buchanan.
We got several.
From the river.
I thought it might have been him.
The first 3 are from Ray B, actually. The first one, he says, while we're talking about the Australian batting order, is moving Wade up to open a genuine option?
No.
Okay. Next question from
why?
Ray B.
Talk about it. Why?
It's just not.
I've never seen...
No, I don't think... No,
I've never seen Wade open.
He doesn't, he doesn't open in Shield cricket.
We've
so
got...
I don't think so. I think there's other options to open the batting.
Yeah. I think we've got to stick with Warner.
I think we need a right-hander.
I think we've got to... Yes, I'd agree with you there.
Burns.
Yeah, I think Joe should probably get it. I think he should. I think
you'll find he will now.
Apart from the fact that I've never seen Wade open. He may well have, but I've never seen it.
Not usually, no.
Question number 2. If Payne doesn't get runs this home summer, should Wade take the gloves again? Now, that's 2 separate things there. You're talking about his batting and his keeping.
Yeah.
Now, if Wade does take the gloves, who captains?
Well, that's
because Payne, if he's not going to be...
Probably him.
If Payne's not getting runs and that's why he's dropped, then you need to find a new captain.
Yes. So I mean, you're looking at either. Well, you're looking at the vice captain. So you're looking at Pat Cummins. I don't know if Mitch Marsh is still a vice captain, even though he's not on the side too much.
Cummins vice captain in the last?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Who was it before? Who was it in the other 4?
He can't.
No, I don't think he's a. I don't think he's a captain. Yeah. So then
Travis.
Then Travis Head needs to be. That's why I said. That's why it's important that Head is in the team and scoring runs.
Yep.
Payne's runs are, he would like to score more. Everyone would like him to score more runs. But apparently from sort of all the talk, all what I've read and heard, that they're kind of a bonus.
No.
As long as he's that's what I'm saying. That's apparently what's coming from the camp. I don't necessarily
then he's
agree
got
with
about
it.
then he's got about at 8 or 9.
Yeah. Then I don't necessarily agree with it.
Because
That's not a good argument,
there's not many Test teams or any cricketing teams in the world where your wicketkeeper is not expected to score runs.
Everyone blames it on Adam Gilchrist.
I still think
Alex
we've
Stuart.
got to be looking at this carry factor.
Yeah, it's important for him to have a good Shield season.
Yeah.
So he is the next cab off the rank. He's got to have a good Shield season, and he's got to keep
Because
well.
he's had a pretty good season, or very good season with the bat in England as well.
Yeah.
Well, I reckon that Ray's sort of known how we're going to discuss this because his next question is sort of relevant. Should Smith take over the captaincy once his suspension has been served?
Well, Stewie's already answered that. I wouldn't discount it because he's obviously the most capable person in the team to do it because he has experience. And he's also our best player. And usually that's kind of how it worked, given that you had the tactical nous to be able to do it. So I wouldn't discount it.
I personally think it would be the best choice. However, if you're looking at developing a team over the next few years, because Smith is going to retire at some point, so do you give him the captaincy for that short, let's say 3-4 year period?
Oh, well, when you've just scored 110 in an Ashes series, I think you've got more than 3 or 4 years left in your career, given that you've just had a year off.
Yeah, well, I think you're right. He probably would be around for longer, but stranger things have happened and people have decided, right, well, I've had enough of this game, so I'm going to take off.
Yeah. So think about it, 3 or 4 years is a lot of test matches.
It is.
In this day and age.
Right, well, should this home summer be used to blood young talent before a change of captaincy? Pukovsky, Renshaw even, says Danny S.
I know Ponting's pushing for Pukovsky to play.
I thought you said Ponting's pushing for the captaincy back again.
No, he was no good at it. So he's looking for Pukovsky to play. I'm not sure. Yes, he's talented, but I'd like to just see him play Shield cricket and score lots of runs.
He's got
just lots of runs. He's got more development to do.
He's got plenty of time.
Rather than putting him into the Test team and let him learn there. I don't think there's a need to rush him.
Yep. And we've still got those names that we've sort of discussed. Curtis Patterson is the other one that we haven't mentioned so far. Players, along with Burns, who scored a century in the last Test match that they played in Australia. So they've got to be ahead of those two names. Yeah,
and you're sort of looking at, so I mean, like I've said before, so I think this summer's a big summer for Travis Head. He's got to get in and he's got to get runs all the way through. So I think we've got 6 Test matches this summer. So he needs to make some. He needs to make some hundreds to get himself in the team and establish himself in the team. Because I think they are looking for him to be possibly the next captain.
When does the Shield start?
It'll be soon.
We've got the Marsh one-day series first.
A few games in that, so I think it'll probably start October sometime.
When do the Aussies get back? When do they get back here?
They should be. I think they're on their way back now, unless they're going on a holiday or something. So I think they'll all be probably pretty happy to come back. They've been away for many months.
I might head to the airport then.
So I think they'll be looking to come back pretty soon.
Yeah. Well, okay, that's fair enough. That's a fair point. Next question, also from Danny S. Should the success of Siddle and Patterson see opportunities for blokes like Sayers, etc., especially under lights? Is that horses for courses question again?
Yeah. I don't know if I don't think Siddle was successful. Pattinson, yes.
He bowled in some of the games in partnerships pretty well, but obviously his figures, averaging 42.
Yeah.
Are not fantastic. I think what it's brought into light. And I think Siddle in Australia...
Yeah, it's probably not really going to...
I think Siddle was an England-only type of selection. If he was still to be a part of the team unit in Australia, I'd be very surprised. So, look, I think what they have sort of brought into light is that they can probably rotate their bowlers around successfully, given that that's where we are pretty strong talent-wise. And obviously with Pattinson, you've got to be in a situation where he can only play a game or two and rest, but it'll be interesting to see how Stark is managed in Australia. Yeah. Because you start to wonder, is there something more to this
Yeah. Why have they? Why is he
There's-
out of favour?
there's-
What's he done?
there's-
What's he
is
done
he
wrong?
out of favour?
Yeah.
Because I thought he
Well, I
done
think
enough.
so. Is it because he? I think. I mean, they'd say, "Oh, look, he can be expensive." So basically, we're saying we don't back our batters
Yep.
to get runs.
Yep.
If the opposition gets more than 300,
Yep.
we can't chase it down. So we have to be tight.
Yeah. Does
that's
it
the
matter
bowlers
if
that
he's
they pick.
expensive if he's still taking a wicket every 25 runs?
Well, yeah. So if you take if you say that Stark will take 5 for 50 off 10,
Yeah.
or you get Siddle who gets none for 40 off 20,
Yeah.
what are you taking?
You're taking the wickets, aren't you? Which leads us, I guess, nicely onto, well, I guess you've already answered that, really. Instagram at Lachlan Lang T and Stone Cold Stevo effectively saying the same thing. Why would you only play Mitch Stark for one test?
Yeah. I don't know.
Palms up.
That baffled me all the way through.
Yeah.
I don't know. Mate, I got no idea.
I can certainly to an extent understand a potential theory behind dropping Hazelwood and Stark for a test or two to fire them up, because it seemed to work with Hazelwood. He came back bigger and better than I've seen him in a while.
I don't think they need. I mean, I don't think they needed firing up. To be fair, I think like if you pick Josh Hazelwood in the first Test match, he probably still would have bowled as well.
If you think about it, this has gone on in Test cricket for a long time.
Yeah.
You've had the likes of Steve Waugh, Ricky Ponting, Mark Waugh, Steve Smith, Michael Clark, whatnot. When I say Steve Smith, it was more, he was dropped as a leg spinner to start with. But they all got dropped.
Oh, they all got dropped.
They all got dropped and came back.
Hazelwood's been dropped before though.
Yeah.
It's not. Hazelwood's been dropped before. Stark's been dropped before. Arrested
Yeah.
before. I don't think these blokes need.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between being rested as a fast bowler. There's this resting theory. But what I'm saying is go and reflect on where your cricket's at and where it needs to go. If there are distractions or if there's motivation issues or whatever it is, sit out for a couple of tests, watch, fire up.
I think Josh had that. Because Josh, they didn't pick you for the World Cup because they said, mate, we want you right for the Ashes series.
Yeah.
He
That-
had a back injury. He got over that. He worked on a couple of things with his action. He was ready to go.
Yeah.
Nah, sorry, Josh, I'm not picking you first. Test.
I'm just thinking to myself, there had to be some sort of reasoning for it, because I was struggling to find other than some sort of
they're going with that horses
tactical.
for courses. Yeah, they're going with that horses for courses. So picking bowlers that they thought would take wickets.
It's almost like going back to that Windies bowling lineup of the 80s and saying to
too many
and saying to Michael Holding, sorry mate, we're just going to sit you out because
Listen to your walk.
He just thought, we got. Just give this bloke a go.
Yeah. Look, and you can almost compare it because it's a pretty formidable bowling lineup. Stark,
we've got lots of options.
Cummins, Hazelwood, and then you've got your spinner in line, and then you've got backup in. So dropping Stark and taking him out of that lineup, like I said, for me feels like you're taking one of those West Indian greats and saying, just sit it out.
Just odd.
Yeah, very odd. Next question from Pat at the MCG. Oh no, Pat McGregor. Has Warner played his last Test match?
No.
No, of course he hasn't.
No, I think no. I mean, look, it was diabolical. Let's be honest. But they'll
it's a
pick
crap
him.
series.
They'll pick him. They'll pick him again for Australia. And like you said, flat wickets. He's likely to come out and score. He's likely to come out and score 100 in the first session in the first Test match.
Yeah, I think the point that you've got to look at in regards to Warner is that he's already proved himself.
Yeah.
It's not like he's a young player and he's been given a go and he's failed, so it's time to say, all right, you just go to a side. He's proved himself. He's likely to come back to Australia and score runs.
Well, with that in mind, Sean Woodard has asked us on Instagram, would you drop David Warner down the order? He says, or dropped out of the Australian team, but we've already covered that. We wouldn't drop him out of the Australian team.
To be truthful, it's an interesting theory. He's an opening batsman. He's been an opening batsman all his life. Yeah. But let's have a little bit of a hindsight option here. Knowing what we know now, if you get to the third Test and Langer or Steve Waugh walks in a room and said, boys, I've got an idea. Let's bat Warner at 4 or 5 for the next 3 Test matches or next 2 Test matches. knowing what we know now, you'd almost go with it, wouldn't you?
Well, I'm not so sure I would, because if you look back in the 2013 Ashes series over in England, Warner batted at 6.
Yeah.
And with a theory of don't be against the brand new moving ball.
Yeah.
And it didn't really work for him until he went up to open.
Yep.
Yeah,
That was
so-
then.
He doesn't.
That was then.
I mean, he doesn't have a great record in England. It's not. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not a.
And
a
at times he
great place for him to play.
doesn't have a great record in other places
Yeah.
overseas. The only time we thought there was a definite issue when playing in India, he didn't score runs, but then he bounced back against Bangladesh against some spin stuff on some turning wickets and stuff like that. So, yeah, but I think we all know that Warner's an innings or two.
Yeah.
But what I would be suggesting is he needs to go find himself again, because that wasn't the Warner we knew
No, it needs to
or
work,
that we know.
He needs to work out how he can not be that ultra aggressive bloke that got himself into trouble, but then not be the bloke that he sort of was in England.
Yep.
He needs to somehow get in the middle somewhere.
Yep.
Yeah. A couple of other listeners have got their own changes that they bring in, a couple that we sort of discussed already. Connor Whale says Curtis Patterson needs to be back in the test team, and Tim Payne dropped for Alex Carey. Angus Murphy, or Murphy_Angus, should Alex Carey get a look in the next test? Wade become keeper since he's batting well. We sort of covered the Wade thing.
I don't think Wade will become Australian keeper again.
Well,
He's not, because I don't think he's not keeping for Tasmania.
and Alex Carey as well. That's the option.
Payne
that you
is
guys
by
mentioned.
far the best
keeper in the
keeper
country.
in Australia, but you can't have just a keeper.
That's
in
not
this-
enough. England had
in
it with
this
Chris
day and
Reed.
age.
Yeah.
In this day and age,
Well,
it's not enough.
He's a keeper and the captain at the moment. That's what he needs to score more runs. It's fairly simple. But,
I think there'd be less pressure on Wade if Carey hadn't have done such an amazing job during the World Cup.
yeah.
England
And
had
rightly so. That's what you want. I mean, it's actually a good problem to have if Carey's name's being thrown out there, because it means that there's stocks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Why
England had the issue
don't
if
we
you-
just pick Carey as a keeper? Because England have got 3 keepers in their test team at the moment.
We do. We got Bairstow and Folkes isn't in there
Yeah,
either at
Folkes
the
is not
minute.
playing, but he has played.
And Butler as well. England had a
Why
problem.
would you not? Why would you? Sorry, this is kind of off topic. Why wouldn't you pick Folkes as the keeper? Because he's a better keeper than Bairstow, isn't he?
I believe so, but I don't know.
Bairstow-
The whole Bairstow
Bairstow's
doesn't
good.
keep in the one day as he
Bairstow's
does in
good,
the
yeah.
test.
I mean, Bairstow's good in the field, so I don't understand why you don't pick your best keeper. He's a
Well-
good bat. He's a good bat too, folks.
This is what I was going to say a second ago.
But
Is that
Bairstow's a better bat, isn't he?
Yeah, so he can just bat.
This is what I was going to say a second ago. That England had this issue several years ago in that Chris Reed was by far and away the best glove man in the country, but his batting wasn't up to scratch. Australia have got stocks. You've got Alex Carey. You've got Tim Payne. You've got Matthew Wade. You've also... Does Patterson keep? He's not a keeper, is he? No. But, you've got stocks of good players waiting to come in.
I'd be putting
Trent Copeland can keep.
Trent Copeland.
Get him in there.
Yeah, I'd be putting. I mean,
Smith could probably keep. He can do everything else.
Neville's a better keeper than Wade.
Smith can do it. He can do everything else. To be honest, we've covered a lot of the other questions that we've got here. This is more a statement than a question. Cybo_27613, a movie about Steve Smith from struggles to returning as world #1 batsman.
Look, I think what he's
It'd make
saying to us,
it'd make a good film.
it's an amazing story.
Yeah.
What has transpired, and even the fact that we all knew, if you know Steve Smith, you'd seen him growing up, he was always going to be a great batsman, and then we sort of used him as a leg spinner to start with. So some people thought, oh, here's a leg spinner, and then he turned into a batsman. No, that wasn't always the case. But yeah, even the fact that he started his Test career
As an all-rounder.
as they were trying to manufacture this next Shane Warne.
Yeah.
And what's happened, and it's a fantastic and amazing story, and true testament to himself.
Oh, it is,
what
'cause-
he's gone through, and the way he bounced back.
Early in his career, I did not rate his batting whatsoever, and all these people that saying that he's going to be a superstar.
I think-
serious.
I think
And
the
look
other
at him now.
I think the other aspect is just the way he bats.
Yeah.
It's so different. It's so untextbook like, and from a coach's point of view, you think to yourself, geez, are we going to start seeing other young cricketers trying to emulate that? And it probably won't work for a lot of young cricketers if they move around. But I wonder, it almost seemed like in that last test match, he's moving even further now. But I've got to say, whenever I bowled to someone and they moved around, it was actually off-putting. I just wonder whether guys don't bowl to him as well as other batsmen because
of the movement, because
of the movement, because of the fact that he's just actually putting them off their own game and their own rhythm.
Yeah.
Is that a part of his strength? Obviously, another part of it's got to be the fact that he sees the ball so well, and at the point of the ball being released, his head and eyes are still. Hand-eye
coordination.
Some of those shots and some of the pictures that we've seen, especially that one of him hitting the beach ball.
Yes.
Amazing.
That's how big. Well, that money was sent him that big, so mate couldn't miss for most of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And now the last one that we've got from a listener, Sachith D on Facebook. Only Sri Lanka has won the Test series against England in the last 5
Go you
years.
Lancers. Actually,
in a 2-test series, they won 1-0.
Interestingly, I think Sri Lanka have popped ahead of Australia and England. Now, this was another interesting factor about this last Test match.
The Test Championship.
It allowed England to remain equal or
above
with Australia.
Yeah. Australia in the Test Championship.
The rankings or just the table at the moment?
Yeah. If Australia had have won that game, then they would have been on top of England. So there's another important reason why we needed to win.
Yeah.
So here are the rankings. No, Sri Lanka in 6th. For some reason, I saw some sort of. I stand corrected there.
Was that the table, the Test Championship table?
No, this is the Test team rankings.
This is the rankings, yeah.
So at the moment it goes India in 1st, New Zealand 2nd, South Africa 3rd, England 4th, Australia 5th, Sri Lanka 6th, and then Pakistan, West Indies, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, Zimbabwe, and Ireland.
Where did I see England and Australia on 56 points?
That would have been so. That's the Test Championship points table.
Okay, so that's. So I think at the moment Sri Lanka are 3rd.
Could be, yeah, because they played. Because it's all sort of weighted differently, so that if you only play a 2-game series, you can get more points than if you play a 5-game series, whatever. So
ICC World Test Championship table 2019 to 21. Currently, India and New Zealand 1st and 2nd as per the rankings. 3rd, Sri Lanka. 4th, Australia. 5th, England. 6th, West Indies. 7th, South Africa. 8th, Bangladesh, and 9th, Pakistan.
In saying that, South Africa and Bangladesh a bit hard done by,
and Pakistan
haven't played
test match yet.
Haven't played any games yet.
Still,
how many points
should be doing better?
How many points do you get for a win?
It depends on. So in the Ashes, the wins were worth slightly less because it's over a 5-game series.
Right.
Then, like say, India are on top with 120 because they beat the West Indies in a 2-game series. So it's weighted slightly differently, so that in the end it'll all sort of even itself out. Because otherwise, Australia won the Ashes 5-0, they'd be well out in front,
of course,
against people that only play in 2 Test series.
Yeah, interesting.
I can't cop the 2 Test match series. I just think, what is the point?
Yeah,
especially that last one, Sri Lanka versus New Zealand.
Yeah,
like
one more.
3.
Yeah.
It was a good series.
It was a good series, yeah.
And it just we're just going to...
Yeah, just 2 only. Because you've got to play the one-day games in the T20s.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
One thing I've really liked about this right now is that because of the World Cup, obviously, Test matches were the finale to the summer in England. And that's how it always used to be. The one-day series used to come before the Test series. And then it was the Test matches, the conclusion of the summer at the Oval. I personally think it's a much better format. It keeps some interest in the one-day games. You look at the last year Ashes series over in England, and then they do the one-day series in September, and no one gives a damn.
No one really cares.
No one cares.
Yeah, after it, yeah.
After the Ashes.
Yeah.
So have the one-dayers. There's a lesson for you, okay? Maybe have a World Cup every year in England. Maybe not. Too stressful on the old fans.
Too much.
Lads,
can I ask a question?
Yes.
Didn't Afghanistan just beat Bangladesh in a Test match?
They did.
Well, what's going on?
That's not been updated then, obviously.
They did. Correct.
Yep.
Pad, while I look that up, do you want to talk about rugby league for a minute?
There's a couple other things we were talking about. Rugby league and also the Australian women have been doing exceptionally well.
Yeah, so the girls have been belting.
It's a bit of an understrength.
Belting the West Indies.
A bit of an understrength West Indies team.
And the girls are just...
But you got to say, the Australian girls are shaping up
Doing well, coming
Quite
up
nicely.
to a T20 World Cup in Australia in February and March. So,
Yep.
when the domestic summer is just about to get started with the National League starting, I think maybe on the 22nd or the 28th, they're playing around in there. So,
Yep.
so that's coming up, which will be good. And obviously, big congrats to Kingsport Ambassador Aaron Burns, who made a debut in both the ODIs and the T20 International. So
Yeah, big.
And Ash Gardner whacking him around. As
Ash
she does.
Ash got a quick 50 in one of the one-day games. So good results there.
The good news also for another Kingsport ambassador, Stefani Taylor, is probably been shining out for New
she's the best
Zealand.
player in the West Indies, not for New Zealand.
Did I say New Zealand?
You did, yeah.
Ah, I'm losing it.
Yeah, she's been doing her best to keep the Windies in the contest, but a bit tough on poor Stefani.
Yeah. Now
Chris Green too is playing well in the
Windies?
Caribbean Premier League. He's doing well over there.
Mm-hmm. Now, in the NRL, we're getting to the very pointy end of it. Now, a week ago, we probably would have been talking about who's going to win this competition out of the Roosters and the Storm, but the Raiders have sensationally knocked over the Storm for the second time in about a month.
Yeah.
So now I guess it's more of a question of, can anyone beat the Roosters, because they are pretty hot.
Yeah, I still think Melbourne will probably make the grand final.
Yep.
Yeah, I think they'll still make it, and they can beat the Roosters.
Yep.
Yeah. I think it's still out of those two teams.
What about the confidence of Parramatta at the moment, or are they going to struggle away from their stadium?
Well, yes, yeah, that could be the thing. Yeah, you can't take the 40,000 screaming Eels fans with you.
My family. Yeah, obviously, you guys know I'm married
would
into a family.
Would have been
Eels
delirious
fans.
on Sunday.
Well, I'm not sure some of them were even watching. I know that my brother-in-law Garth was at the game, and I haven't spoken to him. I'm not even sure if he's awake yet, because it might be that delirious that they've won. But yeah, I actually nearly fell off my sofa when I looked up the score. 58-0.
Yeah, ridiculous.
It's supposed to be a finals game,
mate. There'll be a lynching in Brisbane. It's just they are not happy up there.
What's
Even
the
the
cutoff
unbelievable.
What's the playoff cutoff in NRL? Is it 8? Top 8?
Top eight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
top 8. Yeah, top 8.
Yeah.
So, Manly was a good win for them. Obviously, they were playing at home, but they're down on troops. Desi just keeps them going. About the Sharks.
That was a surprising one for me, I thought. But the Sharks they just didn't reach the heights.
No, they never quite.
They got the players.
Yeah, they just never quite.
Whether they've
quite got out of their own way.
I suppose we should dip our lid to Paul Gallen, who's just played his last game. Imagine playing your last game
At Brookvale Oval.
Oval. Seriously. Anyway, it was a great career.
Yeah.
It was a great career.
Should play the first game of next year and then retire from
Just
that.
play somewhere else.
Just to play somewhere else.
So what do we got? Yeah, so we got the Rabbits and the Sea Eagles
In semi-final 1.
on Friday, and then the Storm of the Eels.
You'd
In
think that
semi-final
Wayne Bennett would have something up his sleeve, and the Rabbitohs.
Well, Sam Burgess is back, so he'll be back for one game before he's out against suspended. So he may get them to the grand final and just may not play it.
Storm versus Eels, mouth-watering. You got one team who generally doesn't let a lot of tries in,
No.
and another team who's been scoring a few.
Can Parramatta
And not letting them in.
Can Parramatta take that form and take it down to Melbourne? And what can they do with it? That's
There's safe money.
Well, there's
says.
confidence.
No, safe money
There's
says-
confidence
safe
in
money
the
says
camp.
Melbourne.
There's
Yeah.
confidence in the camp. Look, you don't bet against the Storm, do you?
not in Melbourne. No. And not after a loss, I'm sure.
Although the Raiders have the Raiders beat them in Melbourne.
Yeah.
The Raiders have their twice in it.
But
Yeah, I think so.
But if this summer, English summer has shown us anything, that those records are there to be broken.
That's
Fortress
true.
Edgbaston
That's true.
got destroyed by the Australians. England should not have won at Headingley. The Eels can win in Melbourne. Whether they will or not, who the hell knows?
Time will tell.
Yeah, time will tell. That's exactly right. Gents, do we have anything else that we want to cover before we let these lovely listeners go and Nick can go and have another cup of hot coffee or tea?
Wrap it up.
Yeah, man.
Or do we do the traditional?
I think Stu's pretty keen to
Stu's pretty keen to
Get
get out
back
of here.
into a full day of work at Kingsgrove Sports Centre.
No worries.
Yeah.
Well, as tradition dictates, we have to say hi to the entire Unitzis clan.
Hi, fam.
And
They're at the beach this week.
They're at the beach. Well, enjoy the beach. As ever, get hold of us. Hashtag KSC Podcast. Facebook at Kingsgrove Sports Centre. Instagram at Kingsgrove Sports. Twitter at Kingsgrove Sport. We are on YouTube because you should be watching us. iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, KSCpodcast.com if you want to listen to us. Give us your questions for next time, and we will see you for... It's an anniversary coming up, isn't it?
Yeah, we've been doing the podcast for a year. We've got trying to work out a special episode, so we're not sure exactly what we're going to do yet, but hopefully next week or so.
Get
you'll see
Harry
it.
Solomons
I'd love
on
to get
board.
Harry on.
Write
the
in
show.
and ask for Harry. He
Yeah.
will respond to your requests.
Some questions for Harry, perhaps.
Questions for Harry.
yes.
Oh man, we should
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should do that.
Questions for Harry.
Well, keep your eyes peeled.
I've got a
listeners.
few for him.
What it boils down to is that if we don't know what's going to happen, it's going to be a hell of a surprise for you. So join us for the next episode of the Kingsgrove Sports Centre Podcast. And thank you, gentlemen, very, very much.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everybody.
Stuart.
Thank you, Hamish.
Nice
Thank
to
you,
see you
Nick.
fire up again, Stewie.
That's what I'm here for.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Appreciate it.